So now we're going to discuss array, groups, blackout, and attributes. So first is the array tool. So si array, ito yung icon na yan. The purpose of the array is for you to copy the objects easily. Instead na use ng copy na command, si array kasi there's an x and y axis. So makakopy yung object mo in x and y axis, unlike a copy in the same axis lang siya. Or sometimes, pa isa-isa yung object na nakakopy niya. So, to do the array, you have to click this icon, or you can type AR and press enter. Okay, since wala pa tayong object, let's first create a rectangle. So, yeah. So, for example, this is a chair. So, now we will use the command AR for array and press enter. So you will be asked to select an object. So after selecting an object, you have to press enter. So in the array, there are three types. You have the rectangular, path, and polar. So sa rectangular, ang array mo or yung copy ng object is with the use of x and y. So you have columns and rows there. Okay, rectangular. Okay, path, you will copy the object along the path. So you have to create first your reference line, and from there, makakopy siya or susunod, or your object will follow that path. And polar, in circular type. So first, we're going to use the rectangular type. So you have to click it. So here, may preview na si array. So you have here the type, the columns, the rows, the levels, and the properties. So ito si columns, you have 4. So these are the columns. Okay. And these are the rows. So here you have 4 columns. So for example, I want to create a chairs with 20 copies. For example, nasa classroom tayo. So I want this to be in 5 rows. Okay. So as you can see, there are already 5 columns. Sorry, not rows. Columns here in the drawing area. Next is the distance of each object. So sa distance, this is your origin going to this side. So meaning 675 yung between or yung distance ng object starting at this point up to this point. So since the measurement or the dimension of our rectangle is 450 by 550, so I want the distance of each rectangles to be 600. So 450 plus 600, that would be 1050. So 1050. There. So meaning, we will add the length of this object plus the distance that we want to have on each object. So meaning 600 ito. The distance of each object is 600. Now, the total is the total length of your array. So from this point up to this point. Okay. So here on your command line, you can see here associative, base point, count, spacing, columns, rows, levels, and exit. So later i-discuss natin si associative, base point, levels. No? So, here naman sa row. So, since we need a 20 rectangles or chairs, we have here na 3 rows siya. Meaning, ito yun. 1, 2, and 3. So, since we need 20 and we already have 5 columns, so we will add another column. So, we will make this 4. So, press enter. So, nagkaroon na tayo ngayon ng 20 rectangles. So, what about the distance? So, the distance is from this point up to this point. So, since the distance of, or the measurement of our rectangle is 450 by 550, and I want the distance of each rectangle to be 600 as well. So, we will have to add the 550 plus 600. So, the sum of those two numbers will become 1,150. Press enter. There. So, the distance of these two objects is already 600. So, what about the total? Total, it means same as with columns. The distance from this point up to this point. Okay. So, the total is 3,450. So, to check that, so let's have to exit first. So, let's type X for exit. So, to measure it, type DI for the distance. So, you have to select this point up to this point. So, you can see here in your command line the distance. So, we have 600 distance. Same as here, DI, press enter. This point up to this point, it's 600. Okay. So, going back to array. So, you have to click the object for you to be on the properties of the array. So, what about the levels? The levels is used for isometrics or 3D. We can do an array on our 3D. So, levels, it means you're going through the z-axis or yung vertical na. So, for example, we want this to have a 5 levels. So, 5, press enter. The distance, so for you to check that, so you can see here your view cube. You can click this corner for you to see it. So once you click that, and once we zoom in, you can see here now the levels of your array. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the distance between means the distance of each object from this point up to this point. So since the distance or the between is 1, yeah, we have a total of 4. So I want this one also to have a 5 distance. So you can see, nagkaroon na siya ng 5 distance and the total is 20. Okay, since we're in 2D, we don't need the level. So we will change this to 1 and this one as 1 as well. Okay. So, we will have to go back to top. Yan. So, si base point meaning yung origin of your array. So, ito yung base point. Ito yon. Itong grip na to. So, once na-click mo yan, dyan mo mamumove si array. Okay. So, what about these two arrows? Ano ginagawa niya? Ginagawa nito is you can click this and then i-move mo siya or draw you the arrow to make a multiple copies. Instead of 5, pwede mo na lang siyang i-drag para you don't have to type on this ribbon panel. So, instead by typing, you can just drag it. So, yun lang yun. So now, ano naman tong edit source? So, meaning, i-edit mo yung array mo. So, yan. So, yan. Pwede mo siyang i-edit. So, for example, maglalagay tayo ng mismong backrest. Yan. Enter. So, once na in-edit mo, ito yung pinaka-original mo o yung pinaka-source object mo. So, once na in-edit mo yung source object mo, susunod yung iba. Okay? So, parang in-edit mo to, may edit lahat. So, yun, see? Edit array. So, if you're good with this one, you can save change. If you're not, you can discard it. So, we can save the change. So, yan. Then, click again natin si object para mapunta tayo dun sa properties ni array. So, what if mag-replace naman tayo ng item? So, for example, gawa muna ako dito ng circle. So, yun natin 225 yung radius. So, for example, I want this na to become a circle instead of rectangle. So, first, you have to click this array, then replace item. So, you'll be asked, select replace object, select replacement object. So, you have to click this object, yung gusto mong maging itsura nung, or yung gusto mong i-replace doon sa array mo. So, I have to select this and press enter. Now, you will be asked to select the base point. So, I want the base point to be on the center of the circle. You can choose the base point of the object, whether you like it on the midpoint or on the perpendicular. No, it depends on you. Maybe on the tangent if you want. So, for me, I want to put the base point on the center of the circle. So, select an item in the array to replace, meaning you will be selecting an item here or an object on the array that you have, or that you already have. So, for example, I want to replace this object. So, I have to click it. Then, here in the command line, you will be asked if select an item in the array to replace or source object. Once we click the source object, meaning all of this array will be same as the circle. So, if you don't want to change this array, and itong pinaka-source lang ito change mo, or yung isang object lang, yun lang yung papalitan. So, pwede ka rin mamili dito. Yan, you can select other if you want to change. Now, if you type S for this source, lahat sila mamapalitan. Okay. Then, if you don't want, you can type RES, or you have to click this reset to go back with the rectangle object. So, exit na tayo. So, ito yan. Pwede mo siyang i-reset. So, since napalitan niya yung mismong source, hindi mo na siya ma-reset. Okay. Pero kung yung isa lang, yung pinalitan mo, yun lang yung ma-reset. So, since pinalitan mo yung pinaka-source, hindi mo na siya ma-reset. So, in order to reset, you have to use the Ctrl-C. Yan, para bumalik siya sa dati. Okay. So, another sa array. Okay. Meron kang makikita, for example, rectangle pa rin. Meron tayong makikita ang associative. Si associative, ang ginagawa niya, kumbaga parang nasa isang component siya. Pag in-check mo si associative, okay, exit na natin. Hiwa-hiwalay siya. Unlike kapag naka-check si associative, isang buo siya. Okay, so we have to Ctrl-C again. So we're going to discuss naman the path array. So we have to create our path. So for example, so let's remove the circle, create another rectangle, 450 by 550. So for example, I have an arc here. So this is my arc. So for example, maglalagay ka ng balustrades or gumawa ka ng poles. Tapos, dapat nakasunod siya doon mismo sa path. So, what you have to do is to select first the object and place it near your path. Okay? So, kailangan mo siyang ilapit. Kasi pag nilayo mo siya, nakalayo lang din yung items mo once na nag-array ka. So, AR, press enter, then select the object. Then, click the path or type PA. So, select the path curve. So, this is my path curve. So, here, kapag nakaklik yung associative mo, naka-follow siya doon mismo sa path. Meaning, yung object mo, dikit doon sa kung ano yung itsura ng object mo dito, hindi din magiging itsura ng object mo dito. Once na in-uncheck ko siya, sorry, let's do it again. AR, select then path, select the path curve. So, associative, same as with the rectangle. So, pag nakaklik yung associative mo, isang buong component siya. If not, hiwa-hiwalay. So, naka-independent yung each object. So, dito naman sa align items, kung ano yung nakalagay, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, kung ano yung nakalagay or yung itsura ng object mo dito sa path na to, yun yung magiging itsura ng other objects along the path. So, once I uncheck it, ganyan yung magiging itsura niya. Nakasunod pa rin siya. It's still along the path, but the object are like this. So, you have to check this para pati yung mismong edge nung item dikit doon sa path mo. Okay. So, here, you also have the items, rows, and levels. So, same as with the rectangle or rectangular type, may levels din siya. So, it runs along the axis. Rows, how many rows? So, this is the first row. If you add another row, dito siya mapupunta. So, for example, 3 rows. So, ganyan. Okay. So, pwede siya for amphitheaters, no? Or it depends on your design. If you have a circular design, ganyan magagawa ni array mo. Now, sa between, a distance nung object starting from here going here. Okay, halos same lang din kay rectangle. Now, sa items, meron kasi tayong measure method. Okay, pag naka-measure method ka, it means it depends on how long your path. So, meaning, since your items is 5 only, there's an equal division for each object, or equally divided siya. So, each object is measured or has a distance of 675 with each other. Now, if we use the divide, that's the time na you can change now the items. Okay. Then, if you add here, for example, 10, equally divided siya dun sa mismong path. Okay. Sorry pala, dun sa measure pala, meaning, you will put a value on the distance of each object. So, for example, measure. I will change this to 500. So, meaning, from this point up to this point, 500 yung distance mo. Pero, mababago yung number of items since you are only on this path. Okay? Parang pagkakasyahin niya yung object doon sa path. Okay, so once we increase the value of this, for example, 1,000, the number of items, sorry, it's 100, so 1,000. So it will be lessened. Okay, kasi it will be distributed along this path based on its length. Okay. So, ganun yung nangyayari kay array. Okay, so, ito yun sa command line. So, associative meaning you will make your component as one. Okay, pag naka-uncheck siya, your object will be copied individually. You can select it individually. Method, it could be measured or divide. Okay. Base point, your base point, tangent direction, that you don't need to use it naman since masyadong complicated na si tangent direction. So items, meaning yung number, rows, how many rows that you have, levels, it runs along the axis, align items, so if you check it, naka-align yung object mo dun sa path. If not, still aligned, but the orientation of your object is still the same. Okay, Z direction along the axis, then you can exit. So you can also move your array. So continue lang. Yeah. So yeah. So what if you're going to use the polar? So first you have to create a circle. Yeah. Then create a rectangle. Yeah. So kung malayo si object mo, malayo din yung pagkaka-array niya. So if it's dikit or it touches the circle, your array also runs on the circle. So you have to type AR, press enter, select the objects that you want to array. Select this rectangle, press enter. So you have to click polar or type PO. So you will be asked to select the center or specify the center of your array. So ito yung aking center. Ganyan. Meron na siya agad. Parang preview. So, same as with the rectangular or polar, you will be asked how many items you want. The distance of each item. So, this one is for the angle. Okay. So, each angle of this is 60 degrees. Then, the total angle is 360. Once nag 720 ka, it means dalawa yung ikot nung pagka-array mo. Okay. So now yung row. So this is a one row. If you add this, meron kang row dito sa likod. So distance in between, distance from this point up to the, kaya I will create another. So distance from this point up to this point. Okay. So total, same from the first object, from the first corner of the object up to the last corner of the object. Levels runs along the z-axis. Associative, it will make your array like a one component. If you uncheck it, you can select the array individually. Okay. So base point, the base point of your array. Rotate items, meaning if you uncheck this, yung rotation ng object mo, kumbaga itong orientation. So you can see, lahat sila pa vertical na. So pag chinek mo siya, naka-angle siya. Okay. Direction, if you want a counterclockwise rotation or counterclockwise. Okay. So, pag naka-click to, naka-clockwise siya. Pag naka-uncheck, counterclockwise. Or vice versa. Sorry. And this is counterclockwise. This is clockwise. So, yan ang nagamit ni polar array. So, we make this one. So, yeah. Then, you have to exit. So, dito, angle, for example, 45 degrees. So, yan siya. Then, you can select the grip to add more object. Okay, so, ito yung object na yan. Yan. So, if you're done with this, or you're okay with the polar, you have to click or type X or press escape to exit. So, yan nagagawa ni array. After discussing the array, we're going to discuss now the group tool. So, si group, ito yung icon niya. You can see on your ribbon panel or ribbon tab. Ito yun. So, ano bang ginagawa ni group? Group is used to group the object. Okay. So, instead na paisa-isa yung pag-move mo ng object or yung pag-copy, you can group the object to make it easier for you to move them or to copy them. Okay. So, sa group, balik tayo dito sa ginawa natin na room. No? So, i-move muna natin siya. As you can see, naiwan si wipeout. So, move din natin siya. So, ipatong natin siya dito sa ibabaw. Ayan. Now, para mas mabilis mo siyang ma-move, no? So, you have to type G to group the item. There. So you can see, you can see here, there's a very light line or gray line, which indicates that the item is already in group. So, that's the purpose of group. Sa group, you can change the layer. No? Pag change mo yung layer niya, lahat ng nakalagay dun sa group, change yung layer. Okay. Kung ano yung kunyari, for example, yung layer niya is may line type is naka-dash line. Once na ginaya mo yung layer nun, or nag-match properties ka, lahat nung nakalagay dun sa group, mapapalitan yung layer. Okay? So, once na minove natin siya, kasama na si wipeout. No? So, ganyan siya. So, always make the wall above your furnitures. Okay. So, ganyan. Sorry. Control C natin. BR. Press natin to. Then A. This one. Ganyan. So, dapat nasa ibaba palagi para maayos ang ating line weights and yung layout. So, how to ungroup the object? So, UNG, press enter, then select the group. So, hiwalay na siya. Yan. Okay. So, control C na lang natin. Group, G, press enter, select the object that you want to be in group. You can also edit your group, no? So, by clicking this one. You can also once na in-edit mo siya, pwede kang mag-add or mag-remove ng object doon sa group. So, click natin siya. Select the group. You can add or remove an object or rename it. Kasi once na select mo yung list sa group, may mga pangalan yan. But for me, hindi ko na siya pinapalitan since hindi naman ako mahilig mag-group sa drawing ko. Ginagamit ko lang siya if I have to move several objects but then ungroup it. No. So, yun lang. So, once na nag-object ka, saselect ka ng object. For example, I want to be part of this group yung object na to. So, I have to click it and press enter. They're already in a single group. So, if I want to remove this one, I have to click this icon. Then, I have to click remove. So, you have to choose which one you're going to remove. So, there. So, press enter. That's it for the group command.